Yo, what's going on? I've got a special announcement. This woman's next to me.
That's right, because I'm Simon Miller, and you're listening to the What Do You Call It podcast. What do you call it?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host, GB. Today's guest is the PT of pro wrestling, helping make every loser a little less pathetic. How kind of you. Hopefully I'm not one of the losers. Please give up for Aiden Whyte. How you doing today, mate? You all good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. You?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Bit of a late one yesterday. If you see my video with Simon Miller, you'll hear my voice. So
Yeah.
just get it back now. I was shouting a lot last night, so it was good. Really good though. Can't complain. You know, Wednesday, so 2 more days, weekend, got really good weekend. So, but I can bore you my life story, but we're not here to chat about me. We're here to chat about you. Bit of a blessing in disguise that we've rearranged this interview because we were going to do it last week, but now a match has happened since then, and we get to discuss that now. I think we just start with that. So, obviously, had a match against Benjamin Gedlin, so he's actually a fan of the show. He tends to like my stuff on social media. So, just before you insult him, thank you for supporting the channel. But I want to know, how did the match go?
Yeah, so no, it went well. We got the win, obviously. No, man, it was great. It was great. It was me and Ben know each other really well.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not the first time you've wrestled, is it?
No. So we've been training together since day dot. We've got a group of guys. We all train at Play Fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened that we all kind of filtered into the system around about the same time, roughly. So me and Ben, we had our match. We had a singles. It went really well. It was the first proper show match for both of us. We've done a little bit with the UBW guys on like birthday party things, because Justin Feller, who wrestles as Hugo Bloom, he runs like a birthday party like events thing.
Nice. So that must come handy for you guys as well.
Yeah, definitely. So it's literally wrestling parties UK. It's like the greatest thing in the world. We wrestled at some fates. So we wrestled at a fate, first ever time in front of any type of audience whatsoever, but that's a little bit tricky because they're not necessarily wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And then we wrestled at a birthday party that was for a 5-year-old, and I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely for the 5-year-old's dad. He loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was great.
He's just like, go on.
Literally, like, so in that match, I won the match at the birthday party by holding the tights. He's the only person in the room that got it, and he shouted out, "He's holding the tights." I was like, "Yes, we've done it. He got it."
Bet his missus wasn't happy with him for the weekend. Have you got what you wanted? Don't speak to me or go away.
And then so Saturday just gone was our first like proper show, paying crowds come and watch the wrestling, and I dropped him on his head and got the win. So I
can tell you, like, you've got that respect for him, but at the same time it's kind of like that healthy rivalry. At the same time, like you're both kind of opposites, but more similar than you think.
Yeah, definitely. So like I was saying, so like, there's a group of us, and I know you've had a couple of the Play Fight students on it before. And so basically the way that the school operates is there's like a grading system. So when you first come in, you do like a new starters thing, and then you go into grade 1, which is like your basics, bumping, rolling, bits of tech work, like basic moves. And then when you pass that grading, which is like quite a rigorous kind of evening, you then move up to grade 2, which is where you start really working on like character
Already
stuff.
becoming a bit sore just thinking about this and hearing this.
Yeah. It was it's 3 straight hours of just go. So, but we all came up together, and then actually on the show on Saturday, not only did me and Ben have our singles, but then there were a couple of guys from that same grading that actually ended up on the show as well, doing their first ever stuff in a rumble. So they got their debut.
Oh, so was it 2 matches you did?
Yeah. So me and Ben wrestled the singles, and then Square One have like a yearly rumble that is like their main event, big rumble that they have. And yeah, they were kind enough to have half of their rumble filled up with play fight students. So
Nice.
it was
How did
great.
you
So,
feel
yeah.
with the Rumble, by the way? Like, it's very common in like UK for a lot of people to actually make their debuts in a Rumble.
Yeah.
But I mean, how did you
Yeah, no, it
find
was
it participating?
yeah. So we I think for me it was a little easier. Like I'd already been in front of that crowd that
Hmm.
evening. And I think it was well established at that point that I was a bad guy.
Yeah, I was
My
going to say he
music,
wasn't very popular from what I saw on
nah,
your Instagram.
nah, I really wasn't. Do you know what though? I love it. I love the
Mm.
boos. Like, boo me. I absolutely love it. Like it fuels me. And then when my music hit for the Rumble, immediately boos as soon as they realised who was coming out.
That's when you're doing your job, though. You are like it's, I
Yeah,
think it's Spike Gervais. Like I think he's associated with Playground, isn't he? And
play
one
for
of the
yeah. So
coaches.
yeah, he is. So our two main coaches are Tom Dawkins, Cara Noir,
Hmm.
and Spike Gervais, and we work with them week in week out. And
But he's a
a
prime
lot,
example of just being,
yeah,
being heel, but you don't care. Like you don't care what the reaction is. I mean, if you're getting booed, if you're getting cheered, then you have to be worried. So, but I will
yeah,
actually touch on Playground and training and what sort of inspired you to
yeah, yeah.
begin your wrestling career. But I want to go back to the beginning and
Mhm.
find out what got you into wrestling in the first place.
Do you know what it was? I've from before memories even begin.
Hmm.
I know that like I've loved wrestling. That sounds weird, but like I don't remember how, but
Hmm.
like I just remember having wrestling toys.
No,
Like
okay, yeah. Was it the
like do you know what I
Hasbro's or
mean?
the Mattels? You're going to be showing your age in this bit.
Oh man, like I'm talking like so like my first ever. Like, I know my first ever wrestling toy. It was a Kevin Nash, WCW wrestler that if you squeeze the legs, his arms moved up and down. So
Oh God, was that
yeah, yeah,
the magnets?
yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
We're
like
talking
Dean
like
Malenko and
like
Jericho
proper
one.
throwback ones. I've still got it somewhere. Like I've never thrown away a single
Oh,
wrestling toy.
great memories, man. Nice.
Yeah, man, they're in a box somewhere. So yeah, man, I've literally never thrown them away, and I probably never will. So I just hide the sun that's coming in and blinding everybody. Yeah, so like it's one of those things that it just kind of happened that
Hmm.
I fell in love with it early, and then I must have been about 6 years old when I moved to like a new area, and I made friends with like all these other kind of people similar age of me, and they love it. And all
Nerds.
of a sudden, it was
We're
like,
called
oh, okay,
nerds.
cool.
You're
So we're
not
just
too
gonna love
cool
it.
to be a nerd, mate.
Yeah, no. I'm a nerd, man.
I'm joking.
Like I'm sat here at my kitchen table, and to my left is a deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and to my right is a phone with Pokemon emulators on it. So yeah, man,
I love it. Oh, I got Pokemon tattoo there, just so you can see.
absolutely love that. That's what I mean. So yeah, you're never too cool to be a nerd ever. That's a fact. Yeah, so I got into it kind of that way. We watched it relentlessly.
Yeah.
Like I was born 96, so like my first memories of wrestling are like the earliest 2000s, which
Yeah.
is like peak
Parker.
time, Stone
Good
Cold and The
time
Rock.
to be a fan.
Yeah, Stone Cold, The Rock, all of that, just absolutely killing it.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I fell in love with it kind of there, and then it just never really stopped. We used to wrestle in the park against each other because
How many injuries did you suffer? Go on.
I'm talking like ridiculous amounts. So where I lived, there was a park that had like it was like a climbing frame thing, but it was like in a perfect steel cage style setup.
Yeah.
So like you could stand in the middle of it, and there were four corners, and you could climb all of those corners. So we used to do like first one over the top wins. So yeah, we've been beating ourselves up since day one.
Nice. Those lads that you've just mentioned,
Mhm.
are you still friends with them, and have they seen you wrestle since?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still friends with all of them. They've seen it, like they've seen bits and pieces of it on Instagram for sure.
But not live.
Not live, no, not yet.
Oh man, let's get you on just like find out the reaction because I love hearing people like when they got their friends or family or
Yeah.
whatever or their niece or whatever, and then just hearing their reactions. It's pretty cool to hear. But
So
yeah, get them to watch you, mate.
it's funny you say that about the niece. So like at the show on Saturday,
Hmm.
I didn't have many people there, but I had my other half. So this was the first time that she's properly seen me wrestle as well.
Yeah.
I moved this completely gone.
Hey, it's a proper lens flare right there, isn't it?
The sun shining there.
Yeah, mate. That is it.
So yeah, so I had my other half. My fiance came to watch me,
Mhm.
booed me out the building, which was great.
Oh, I bet you're like,
Um,
I love her. She's the one.
you know what it is? She actually said to me, she's like, I've never seen you act like that before. Do I need to be worried? I was like, and then my older sister,
Yeah.
who a little bit of a kind of throwback story. The first ever wrestling show I went to, because I grew up in Swindon in Wiltshire.
Hmm.
The first ever show I went to was a show way back then. It was a 4FW show, and she took me to that show, and then
Yeah.
she was then there at my first ever show watching me wrestle with my mum,
Ah, that's pretty
who was
cool.
pretty much the same age as I was when she first took me to
Did,
one.
did
So,
she boo you as well then?
oh yeah, she was my sister booed me, but my 8-year-old niece, she was the worst out of all of them. She called me a meanie. She told Ben that he looked like a beanstalk because he was tall. Yeah, she's savage, honestly. Like she was brutal. So it was great.
Right, I love it. Ah, so it's still laughing about that, but no, that's more savage than like the ones that've been loving it like the whole life. Just like, yeah, Bainstall, mainly just.
Literally, she was like, he looks like a beanstalk, and I was like, do you know what? He does. You're
But
right.
it's like very creative. I'm actually quite proud of you. No, that's wicked, man. That's wicked. It's quite common for us Brits to be into other sports like other than wrestling. Were you into anything else growing up, like football, cricket? Because I know that I've seen football pictures on your other account, but were you into
Yeah.
anything else growing up?
Yeah, so I played football 6, 7, and onwards.
Hmm.
I stopped maybe 2 years ago. I played some decent level stuff when I was younger. Um, we had a local team that were just they were really good. Like they
Fox
were
Bullets, yeah.
yeah, they were like the team. Um, but yeah, so I've always played. I went and played for Salisbury for a little while when I got older.
Mm.
Um, not for very long. They changed coaches very quickly, and then I kind of was out to the side. So I'm like, cool. But yeah, like I played it just for sheer love of it. It was
Yeah,
we had growing up where I grew up, we had two loves. There was wrestling and there was football, and we would play football all day,
yeah.
and then we'd go home and we'd either play WWE SmackDown versus Raw, or we would,
Mm. Playing
play
Wembley
with
in the
wrestling
park and then
figures.
go home and yeah,
Exactly.
creating
Yeah,
your
yeah.
wrestler and just
Exactly
bringing back
that.
memories for me as well. Is what you're saying right now.
Yeah. So like I was lucky. I was really lucky. Where I grew
Mm.
up, there was like a group of like maybe 4 or 5 of us that loved wrestling, and then there was a group of like pretty much 10 of us that all played football. So like there was always a game of football happening. There was always somebody to talk to
Mm.
and watch the wrestling with. So like I was absolutely blessed where I grew up. And then yeah, so obviously I moved on from kind of playing football. I played football at college, and then I started taking boxing quite seriously. So like I,
Mm.
I boxed for a lot of years. Locally, was lucky enough to go off to places like Jersey in the Channel Islands and
Oh,
there.
cool.
And yeah, man, it was great.
Mm.
I think if it hadn't been for the fact that I'd done the boxing and I'd been in front of a crowd like that in a 1v1 kind of situation,
Mm.
I don't know whether or not I'd be able to do this now.
Do you feel like, as you've just mentioned it, that being at athletics already, boxing, coordination, all that, has helped you with your transition into professional wrestling?
Yeah, 100%. There are things that make it. There are things that actually make it more difficult because of it.
Oh, really?
Because yeah. So like with the boxing, obviously coordination and stuff like that, and being able to kind of learn a physical thing,
Hmm.
I'm quite good with. But the performance aspect of it and the now having to visualize emotion and stuff
Yeah. Just
outwardly,
one person.
yeah. So like when you're boxing, you're taught to be you show nothing, you give nothing
Yeah.
away. But now obviously I have to give even more
Where in
than
boxing, you're kind of like, going out your way to ignore the crowd. Where in wrestling, you've got to include the crowd.
yeah, exactly. The way that I always describe it is when you're boxing, you're like this,
Yeah.
and now I have to be like this. But no, I mean, like I said, being in front of a crowd, regardless, like you're always aware. Like
Hmm.
boxers can say, "Oh no, I filter it out." Like you know that they're there. You know when they're reacting to something that you've done. Like you may not feed off of it as much, and you might not react to it the way that you do when you're wrestling, but you're still aware. You can still hear it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely it put me in a better stead, I think, to be able to deal with the being in front of a crowd part of things. Definitely.
Nice.
Now I just have to, remember not to throw too many
Stop
hard
being a
punches.
meanie.
Yeah,
Being a meanie.
no, no.
It's just who you are at the PT
It is,
of
yeah.
professional wrestling. But I will get back to wrestling just quickly, but just because I'm a football fan, any opportunity that I get to talk about it, I'll jump
Yeah.
on it. Who do you support and what position did you play in?
So I'm a Liverpool fan.
Sorry to hear.
Yeah. Nah, because to be fair, right, I always have this argument with people. People are always like, "Oh, Liverpool." Nah, I supported Liverpool when Jay Spearing was running our midfield. All right, like I've been through the hard times.
Mm.
Okay, I had players like Aquilani in my team. All right, we were not good for a very long time. So now I feel like I'm
Paul Konchesky,
finally.
like.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Come on. We had we've had some absolute stinkers. So the last couple of years have been really refreshing, especially
Yeah.
watching the Man United, Liverpool.
Yeah, just them dipping. But I mean, the season's not been great for you. But if we just talk about like the last few years, Champions League, Premier League,
Yeah,
finally winning it, League Cup.
yeah, exactly. So like it's one of them where I feel like I've earned the ability to now enjoy
Yeah.
my
You have been
time.
to Old Trafford, haven't? Not Old Trafford, Anfield. Just 'cause
Anfield, oh yeah, been to Anfield a couple of times. I was
that's
there.
fine then.
I think the last time I was there was, to be fair, I didn't go. I haven't been for a couple of seasons now
Mhm.
because obviously there was
Yeah, I
COVID.
mean, the world shut down. It's not, it's quite
Yeah, I
a
think the
journey.
last time I went was the season we won the Champions League. I was at
Mhm.
a quarter final game against Porto.
Nice.
That was it was mint. That was brilliant. That was my first Champions League game there. That's an experience. It
I
was
actually
mad.
like the Scouts, to be fair. I mean, they're really easy to wind up. Don't get me wrong. But
Yeah,
like, I've been to Anfield as well, and just the people, like, they're very, like, they're so passionate about the football. It's like a religion to
yeah,
them. And they're very friendly. They'll talk. Sometimes they don't know when to stop. Should I say this? And some people are like, you can talk anyway. But no, like, I just really like winding them up. But sometimes online, just you're always the victim. Sometimes just
yeah,
don't help yourself. But I support Arsenal, so I can't talk.
yeah. This is fair. You
Top of the
can't.
league, over top of the league at the
Do
time
you
of
know what though? Do
recording.
you know what? It's funny. It's funny because my best friend supports Arsenal,
Yeah,
so I spend a lot of my time ripping Arsenal. I actually have no issue with them whatsoever. Like
yeah.
it's literally just because he supports them that it's fun to wind him
You
up.
got to
And
just put
actually,
up the funny clips on like AFTV. Just like, I mean, it's a bad representation of the club anyway, but
yeah. But it is funny.
it was. But then I was just like, this is actually horrible. This is what people think we all like, and we're not. Is that blood? And then like you see what's happened to like DT and stuff. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
what's the bell end? But yeah. So what's
Yeah.
the position that you play in as well? I forgot to ask.
Oh, I was a striker.
Striker.
Always. Yeah. So I think I played one season at left back and I scored like 15 goals from left back and they went, you should probably not, you should probably be up there.
A little bit further up front.
Yeah. And I was
if you
like, all right,
can.
cool. I've always said this, I've got absolutely no skills
Yeah.
whatsoever. Like you might see me do a step over maybe once every 10 games, but I was just sheer pace. I would just hit the ball in front of
Mm.
people and I'd
It's a bit
run.
like I don't know, like Lukaku, but like if you had did you have the power as well?
So the way I always describe it is like I'm like a wannabe Jamie Vardy. That's it. I've got pace. I've got pace and I can score. That's it. That's all
Yeah.
I've done.
Oh
But
no, okay, okay.
but it worked. For several years it worked.
What
And
was
then I
the
got
most what was the most goals you got in one season?
so I played for two teams in 1 year. So I played for one team on a Saturday and one team on a Sunday. And I think I was like well in the 30 goals across the two that season. But I think
Yeah.
singular team 25, 26, something like that. It was always around that mark, to be fair.
Yeah.
It was always a decent number, except for one season. I played for one team that was just really bad, and I was their top scorer, and I scored like 6 goals. That's a season best forgotten. My mate was like, "Oh, we formed this team. Come and play." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah."
Oh,
And then we lost
was it
like
like a Sunday league team? Just like
yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
hungover.
yeah. We lost like our first game like 10-1, and I was like, oh, "I've already signed on."
Yeah, boxing, wrestling. Let's do
Yeah, I
it.
was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I've already signed on. It's about to be a long year," so it
Oh
wasn't
man.
great.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So I'll go back to the wrestling, and I actually want to know because you mentioned like we did discuss, your match recently, but I want to find out what inspired you to want to become a professional wrestler.
I mean, I've always loved it,
Hmm.
and when I lived in Swindon. I wasn't driving,
Hmm.
and the nearest schools were just miles away. It was almost like unattainable at that point. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't viable. And then over the last couple of years, I moved to Surrey, which is still not the closest thing in the world to schools, but it's a lot more accessible to get to London and stuff like that. We're talking like 30-minute trains rather than an hour and a half train. And I was just like, okay, cool, that's now accessible. But now I'm like, but is it still something that I can do? Like, I'll be honest as well, like, and I feel like there's probably a couple of people that I've spoken to, and I'm sure there's more out there that have gone, is it a little bit embarrassing to say that you still like wrestling? Like, it's like, it's not.
I've got over that. I mean, I completely see where you come from. Like, for example, like, if I hear someone talk wrestling, I'm gonna like go straight to them, and I'll be talking about wrestling with them like all night. But then some people are just like, "Oh shit, it's fake. It's I watched it during the Attitude Era."
Yeah, exactly. So I think for me, like, I've always been like, "Oh, I like wrestling."
Yeah,
like I wasn't shouting it from the roof.
You weren't saying how much that you liked it.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was like so myself. So I saw an advertisement come up. This was just after lockdown had all finished, and it was when places were touring again and all of this. And WWE Live was at Wembley Arena.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really want to go. Like, I don't care. I want to go. I said to my partner, like, look, I really enjoyed this stuff growing up. I love it now. I still watch it now. I don't want to go by myself. Do you want to come with me? And she was like, oh yeah, all right. Why not? We went, we watched it. She thought it was great. And I was like,
nice.
I was like, well, if she thinks it's okay.
Yeah, by the way, like, I know like where they live, how tall they are, how much they weigh. Just like let them know.
This is it. Like, so like, and I'm a proper little stat nerd as well. So like, I'm there dealing it off one after the other. And like, we had a conversation about it on the way back, and she was like, "Oh, you've said before that this would be something that you'd want to try and do. Why don't you do it?" And I was like, she went, "No, but why don't you do it?" And I was like, "I can't give you an answer," which means I need to try. I then, so I am actually a PT in real life. Like, that's not
gimmick. No.
It's not just a wrestling thing. Like, I am genuinely PT. I have better customer service than I do with my wrestling friends, just FYI. So I was like, okay, so like maybe 1-to-1 is the way to learn.
Yeah.
So I went and emailed Playfight. I was like, look, not really bothered about the classes and all of that. I want to learn like 1-to-1, blah, blah, blah. They were really polite with their email back, and they were like, look, come along to a class first because you want to see what wrestling is.
Yeah.
And the moment I turned up to my first class, I was like, this is why 1-to-1 does not work, because you actually have to learn to work with people. And then I went from there. I was like, yeah, maybe I don't just want to do 100 1-to-1 sessions. Maybe that's not the way to do it. So,
what did your first day consist of then at Playground?
Playfight.
Sorry.
My first day. So my first day was I did a new starters evening. So it's changed slightly now. So new starters at Playfight now, they get like an entire couple of weeks. Weekly sessions before they go into the grade 1 system now, which is fantastic. And I'm sure that it will speed up the process of grade 1 to no end. When I started, we're talking like 11 months ago now, it was very much, you went in, you did your one night as a new starters thing, and then you're in grade 1, which is fine for me. I was fine with that. It's not a problem. But you go in and you learn to roll and you learn to bump and a bit of rope running. Then we got comfortable this is going to sound the weirdest thing in the world. We just got comfortable touching other people. So like, this was something that I really didn't think I was going to, I hadn't even considered it, but the idea of actually having to just physically interact.
That's a good point. That really is. Like, I mean, I've not really thought about that, to be honest. I mean, myself, I don't know if the fans or listeners will agree, but yeah, no, continue. That's a really good point.
So it's completely alien. So like, like before you take into a context any other form of anything, you have to get comfortable just physically touching other people. And don't get me wrong, this is a room full of strangers as well. This isn't,
there's your mates down the park,
These aren't your friends. These aren't like, and don't get me wrong, they are now. Back then they weren't. And the first thing you're told is, okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go and just like push on their like joints, and you're just going to move them. You're going to push and you're going to pull, and you're like, oh, all right.
You are the first person to say this, by the way, when it comes to like training and sort of a challenge in a way, like actually getting to touch other people in terms of working out things, but engaging it with them in a physical level.
So like the only physical contact I've ever had, obviously from sports before, is punching people in the face.
Yeah, I bet you missed that a little bit.
Yeah, every now and then. Do you know what I do? I sometimes miss it, and then I remember the weight that I used to fight at.
Yeah.
And I remember how hard it was to cut weight to get to that weight, and I never missed it again. So like, I would much rather sit down, with my KFC in an evening rather than be crying because I need to spout another 6 kilos in 2 weeks. So it's
That's horrible.
Oh mate, some of them were brutal. It's my own fault because like I would always take the fights, but
I'm not gonna lie, KFC sounds like quite a good shout after this interview.
Yeah.
Helps.
Yeah. But yeah, so like that was the first day. It was literally rolls, bumps. We're super lucky at Play Fight that we've got like an entire like gymnastics floor in, and obviously the ring set up and all of that. But like rolling and stuff we learned on the gymnastics floor, so it's in the most like safe environment you could possibly think of. The first couple of bumps, like we're not talking old school WWF with Triple H literally making you bump, like,
Jiggle bump, like tough enough, yeah.
So we bumped on mats, and then obviously got to do a little bit of rope running stuff. And yeah, at the end of that, I was like, right, well, guess I'm hooked. What do I do? How do I join? They were like, come back on Tuesday, and then I just didn't miss one. But I never missed a Tuesday. I was like, cool, all right.
I love it, man. I love it. When did you make your in-ring debut then?
This would have been this was the Fate. I think it was maybe like 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago now. And it was literally, again, it was Justin, super lucky to have met him. So I helped out on a show called Ambush, which happened in Ely in Cambridge. Was really lucky, like helped out on that. That was through Spike Trevay because he's involved with running the show. So obviously the network in there through Play Fight. Came down, helped out, set up the ring, and then from there it was like, okay, like I got on really well with the guys playing the ring, and then he asked me to come and do another job with him that was local to London. Did that, then literally opportunities to keep crewing stuff came through there, and then one day he literally messaged me and was like, so like I've got like a Fate booking, if you guys are feeling ready to do it, by all means get involved. And myself and Ben had been helping out on these shows, and then the next thing we know we're wrestling each other in the middle of a playground like gym thing in Wixham's.
Nice. It's still early days, but I've seen what I can on your Instagram, and I mean, like, you got amazing like German suplex, for example, like
Thanks.
So good. I mean, like, I know that moves sometimes, obviously, with like angle and stuff, but if it's done well, I'm a sucker for it. It's one of the moves I used to do with my teddy bears.
It was the one thing that like I really wanted to learn it, and I'd learned like the snap suplex, and like I'd learned like a couple of different variations of suplexes, and like the Germans, like that's the one.
Gotta do it.
And I got brave one day, and we had Mambo and TK down, and we were in like an open ring sessions. It's like the ones where you can kind of just work on your own stuff. And I was just like, guys, teach me how to do a German. And then, I literally spent the rest of like the hour just literally all my friends just boom.
No way. So like because of Mambo and TK, they're kind of like,
oh,
that's wicked.
Literally, I was just like, can you show me? And they were like, well, we don't really do them very often, but yeah, this is how we do them. And I was like, great. And then that was it.
No, I love Mambo. He's been on the show before. He's a good guest. And TK is pretty cool. I've seen him in person. Gonna ask my famous last question, but before I do ask that question, 3 guests for your dream dinner party. I want to know, do you have any specific career goals at the moment? Any people you want to ideally wrestle in the next year or so?
So, first and foremost for me, I think the group of people like I mentioned before, and I'm going to do a couple of shout outs to people now.
Go for it.
So obviously, I want to wrestle Ben 100 more times, just because I like beating him up. It's great.
I do enjoy your back and forth on social media on Instagram.
There'll be more. Don't you worry. 100%. There's Bart O'Connor, who, when you see, I don't know if you've seen it, I posted a thing of the Rumble, the guy that I picked up.
Yeah.
I want him next.
And you did an eye poke as well, didn't you?
The eye poke, there's Tig, Tristan Pretty. There's Dries Michael. There's all of these guys are straight out of Play Fight. But then I also am lucky enough to have shared Play Fight with people like Prince Dean, Cody, Alf Edwards, Delphine, Sky, and I want to wrestle a lot of them.
Shout out to Sky and Alf, been on the show before.
Yeah, shout out to Sky.
He's funny,
especially Alf.
They're funny as fuck. So that's what I meant.
I'd really like to wrestle Alfie.
Yeah.
I think
Alf lovely suplexes as well.
Yeah, I think going suplex for suplex with Alf would be.
I think you both wouldn't have a neck at the end of the match, but it'd be worth it.
No. I'd be like, it'd be worth it. We put on a show. So yeah, that, and then there's just like there's venues. I think venues is kind of the thing that always crops up. Obviously, for me, like the kind of pinnacle of British wrestling for me is Progress. One day I'd like to wrestle in the ballroom. Simple as that. Like it's been the scene of my favorite kind of moments, I think, in Progress. It's the place that the crowd is kind
just
of
has that atmosphere. It's just, like you said, like that. It's just like a home in it for Progress, and just even though I don't think it's actually that big, but it does feel just.
But it feels.
Yeah.
The atmosphere that gets brought with it is awesome. So,
no, I'm not saying because the name is called Electric Ballroom, but it generally does feel like electric and just so cool.
I mean,
I love it.
We crewed it. We were lucky. Some of the Play Fight guys crewed it for the last ballroom show, and Eddie Dennis came out, and the noise. And it was like, I didn't know that building could create that much noise, but there's just the.
It's like he never left.
And I was just like, I want that. But I don't want cheers. I want to be booed.
You do that, but reverse.
Yeah, I want to get booed out the ballroom. That is what I want.
That's where you need to be speaking to Spike.
Yeah.
If you want cheers, Carnoir, booze.
Honestly, when he because we were at the front row for when he beat Cara in the Outfit match, and it's just that. That's what I want. If I get to that, I could probably just retire there and then, because I'm like, I ain't getting any better than that. So,
love it. I love it. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Hello, my name is Corporal Punishment, and I will be on the next episode of What Do You Call It podcast.
You heard. Cool, man. I'm sure I'm going to see you in Progress. I was a fan there, so got this as well. So.
Hey.
I'm surprised that it came home with me, but different story. Got carried away. First show in like 3 years. I was just like loving life, but it was fun. Fun though, it's fun, mate. But no, cool. So, last question that I'm going to ask: 3 dream dinner guests for your dream party. You can pick whoever you want. It's up to you. Footballers, boxers, might be even your niece, so she can wind up even more. But 3 guests. You're the host. If you can give a reason as to why you want them there, that'd be awesome as well. Go for it.
So the first one's the only wrestling related one out of all of them. I'd have Paul Heyman.
Nice.
Because I feel like Paul Heyman just has like, do you know what I mean, the inside track on everything. So like, I feel like if you had a question and you had like an intimate setting to have that question with him, I feel like you'd find out a lot about wrestling that you weren't meant to know.
Yeah.
I also think he's probably got enough of that going on that he'd probably
tell that's the thing. You just can't tell with him. Like, I just take what he says with a pinch of salt, but he's so convincing. It's so entertaining. Like, you tell you the sky is like, I don't know, green or something, and he convince you.
Yeah, you'd be like,
maybe he's right.
It could be, you know. So definitely Paul Heyman. The next one we talked about already. I'm a massive Liverpool fan. Steven Gerrard is coming to wherever I go, anytime.
Yeah, of course.
Honestly, I can't help it.
Quality player. I love mocking him, but he was fantastic player.
Like, he is just like me and one of my best mates is also a Liverpool fan, and we have this thing. He's God. like he is God in Liverpool.
I'm a bit like that with Henry, so I get that, mate. I get that.
Yeah, I just like it's like when people get into the whole like Lampard, Scholes, Gerrard debate. I'm just like, like it's not even.
I don't think it's a wrong answer. I mean, you can bring like stats. I think we are in that more the younger generation. They're obsessed with stats.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like if I want to prefer someone else, that's my opinion.
You had to live through it, and I think, like I said, like my argument with all of every time I have this conversation is Man United still would have won what they won without Scholes. Chelsea probably still would have
I don't
won.
know about. I think people don't give enough credit to Lampard in terms of his influence. And
Lampard was incredible. Don't get me
I know
wrong.
what you mean, but Gerrard, like he won your titles.
Yeah. Like if Gerrard had gone to either one of those clubs, win the Premier League X amount of times, but he dragged us, and I mean dragged
he did.
To trophies.
So. He was like the anchor, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So Gerrard would 100% be there, just because I've read his autobiographies, both of them, enough times to just have in-depth conversation awkwardly about him. So that'd be great. And then the last one is a guy called Matt Fraser. He's the 5-time in a row CrossFit world champ.
That's why I didn't know.
Yeah,
I mean, fitness.
Nah, it's more of like an obscure one, but he's
no. I know that. No, it's your party. You do.
So
but I'm not going to Scooby though.
He's fittest man on the planet, 5 years running. There's documentaries about CrossFit on Netflix. It sounds like it's super boring. Honestly, it's like the greatest thing in the world to watch. This is how I got into it in the first place. It was during lockdown. Myself and my partner's like not like a heavy gym goer. She plays netball and she enjoys like a boxing class when I run them. But like not like a super into fitness person. And she loves it. Like we to the point where like we watched the 1 or 2 that were on Netflix, and then we were like, we need more, and we went and bought the ones off Amazon for because it's a rundown of the CrossFit Games every year, and you get so invested in all these people. And eventually I was just like, this guy's awesome.
I'd probably be watching it while stuffing my face with a KFC, as you mentioned.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm talking Ben and Jerry's by the spoonful out straight out the thing whilst watching.
Oh wow, look at that! I could do that. Oh,
yeah, watching people do like 100 muscle ups in a row, and I'm like, but honestly, greatest thing in the world. Really cool guy. Like his just mentality wise, like a lot of what he kind of stands for is kind of stuff that I do as well. So like. One of the things spoiler alert for anyone that's watched it or not going to watch it.
I was going to watch it.
There's a year where he doesn't win the games because of a certain event that happens that he was just really, really bad at, and he spent the next year just getting better at that. Came back, smashed everyone to pieces in it, like even the favourites to win it. Like didn't just get better. Like turn a weakness into like a massive strength, and like that's a whole part of what he's about. So I feel like we'd have some really cool conversations.
I like it. So we've got Steven Gerrard. I'm not going to start doing accents, can't be asked. And they sound awful. Paul Heyman, Steven Gerrard, and Matt Fraser.
Yep.
I'll have a little Google of him, but I'm still going to pick out. And,
Oh yeah. But listen, like I put this as a disclaimer for absolute everyone out there. Watch the CrossFit Game stuff whilst enjoying your life, because
I mean you are the PT of professional wrestling, so you've got to tell the listeners to
pig out so that I can charge you money to make you better. Yeah, that's
actually don't watch him and just keep picking out in the So my boy Aiden makes more money. That's awesome. Aiden, where can the listeners and the fans find you on social? Where can they find you on social media?
So Twitter, Instagram. I'm on there on both. Hopefully, so here somewhere. Follow me through there, and you'll also find loads of other really cool up and coming wrestlers through there as well, because I'm always arguing with them.
I've seen that.
Notice I always win the argument. Always the last one, always the last word every time.
Is that because you blocked them after?
Away my secrets. What's wrong with you? Find loads of really cool people through there as well. So by all means, follow me, boo me. That's what I want. So bring it on.
Awesome. Boo this man if you can, but also give him a follow. keep up to date with
Yeah.
him, and he's still in the early days of his career. See how he grows into the talent that I know he's going to be, but he's also top talent already. So happy to have you on. I think it's been an absolute laugh. So thank you for coming on. I've been
No
a
worries.
little bit, but my voice has come back. So
Hey.
yeah, so I had to do work today. So I was like, all right, but that's all good. But thank you for coming on, mate. It's been a blast.
Pleasure.
For everyone that has listened to this episode and watched it on YouTube, thank you. If you can continue support, like, share, subscribe, do what you can. That'd be fantastic. But for now, everyone, I will be back after a few weeks, just taking a short break. But I'll be back, in the words of Arnie, or whoever else says it. I don't really care. But I will be back. Don't worry. Just got busy next few weeks, work and outside life and personal. So, but I'm all good, and I hope you're all good as well. Take care. Hello there. I've got a special announcement from my next guest.
Hi there, guys. I'm Ruby Roberts, and I'm on the Would You Cry It podcast.
Also known in England and everywhere else outside of Scotland, What Do You Call It podcast. You heard.